Imagine driving on a world where there's no air, no roads, no GPS, where every wrong turn could cost millions of dollars, and every bump could launch your vehicle several feet into the air. That's exactly the challenge NASA is preparing for, because after more than half a century, humans are going back to the moon. But this time, they're not just visiting, they're planning to stay. And that's why one of the strangest vehicles ever built may become the most important truck in human history. At first glance, it doesn't even look like a truck. It has no windshield, no doors, no engine roaring under the hood. Even its tires look like they belong in a science fiction movie. But make no mistake, every strange design choice exists for one reason: to survive a place that destroys almost everything humans build. Because the moon isn't just another destination. It's one of the most hostile environments we've ever attempted to explore. Temperatures swing from nearly 200 degrees Celsius during the lunar day to almost minus 200 degrees during the lunar night. There's no atmosphere, no oxygen, no protection from radiation. And perhaps the biggest enemy of all, moon dust. The last time astronauts drove on the moon was over 50 years ago, back during the Apollo missions. The Lunar Roving Vehicle became one of NASA's greatest engineering achievements. It allowed astronauts to travel farther than ever before, collect priceless rock samples, and completely transform our understanding of the lunar surface. But that rover was built for missions lasting only a few days. Today's missions are different. NASA's Artemis program isn't aiming for another quick visit. Its goal is much bigger: to establish a long-term human presence near the moon's south pole. That means astronauts will need to travel farther, carry heavier equipment, transport scientific instruments, rescue crew members during emergencies, and explore terrain no human has ever reached before. The old rover simply wasn't designed for that future, so NASA needed something entirely new. Not just another vehicle, but a mobile lunar workspace. This is where the next generation of lunar vehicles comes in. Built by companies competing to support NASA's future moon missions, these machines are far more than electric buggies. They're part rover, part robot, part mobile laboratory. Long before astronauts arrive, they could already be exploring the moon on their own, mapping dangerous terrain, transporting cargo, searching for valuable resources, even preparing future landing sites. And once astronauts finally step onto the lunar surface, these vehicles could become their most important tool, helping them work longer, travel farther, and safely return home. Because on the moon, the most dangerous mission is often the drive back. Think about the last time you got into a car. You opened the door, buckled your seatbelt, adjusted the mirrors, and started driving. None of that exists on the moon. Because on the lunar surface, a normal vehicle would fail within minutes. The first thing you'll notice about NASA's next-generation lunar truck is what it doesn't have. No windshield, no traditional doors, no rubber tires. And that's because the moon doesn't care how we build cars on Earth. It plays by an entirely different set of rules. There's no atmosphere to block radiation, no weather to wash away dust, and no air pressure for conventional tires. Instead, engineers have designed massive metal mesh wheels that can survive temperatures ranging from nearly minus 200 degrees Celsius to over 100 degrees Celsius without bursting or cracking. Even more impressive, they can never get a flat tire, because on the moon, there's no roadside assistance. Every single component has to survive years in one of the harshest environments known to humanity. But the wheels are only the beginning. The moon's surface is covered in an incredibly fine layer of dust called lunar regolith. It might look harmless, almost like gray powder, but under a microscope, it's razor sharp. Unlike sand on Earth, moon dust has never been worn smooth by wind or water. Each particle is jagged, sharp, and electrically charged. During the Apollo missions, it stuck to astronauts' suits, covered equipment, scratched visors, and even found its way inside the spacecraft. Some astronauts later described it as smelling like burnt gunpowder after returning to the cabin. Now imagine that same dust working its way into motors, electronics, and moving parts. A single design mistake could disable an entire mission. That's why modern lunar vehicles are being engineered to actively manage dust, protecting sensitive systems before they ever become a problem. Every bolt, every cable, every moving joint has been designed with one goal: keep working, no matter how hostile the moon becomes. But perhaps the most incredible thing about this vehicle is that it doesn't always need a driver. In fact, some of its most important missions may happen before astronauts even arrive. Imagine landing on the moon months before the first human steps outside, completely alone. No instructions every second, no one behind the wheel. Instead, the vehicle begins exploring by itself, scanning the terrain, avoiding dangerous rocks, mapping safe routes, searching for resources, and transmitting everything back to Earth, millions of kilometers away. This is the future NASA is preparing for, because communication between Earth and the moon isn't instant. Every command takes time to travel. That delay may only be a few seconds, but in space, a few seconds can mean everything. Instead of waiting for humans to tell it every move, the rover will make many decisions on its own, choosing safer paths, avoiding obstacles, and completing complex tasks with minimal human input. It's a technology that's already transforming exploration on Mars, but on the moon, it becomes even more important. Because these vehicles won't just transport astronauts. They could deliver scientific instruments, carry construction equipment, inspect future habitats, or even rescue injured crew members during emergencies. They're not simply vehicles, they're robotic teammates, and one day, they may become the first machines to prepare another world for permanent human life. So, why is NASA investing billions of dollars into a vehicle that may never drive faster than a bicycle? Because speed was never the mission. Distance is. The Apollo astronauts explored just a tiny fraction of the moon. Most of its surface remains completely untouched, especially the lunar South Pole. Unlike the places humans visited in the 1960s and 70s, this region hides something extraordinary. Deep inside craters that sunlight has never reached, scientists believe there are vast deposits of frozen water. At first, that might not sound very exciting, but water changes everything. It can provide drinking water for astronauts, it can produce oxygen to breathe, and perhaps most importantly, it can be split into hydrogen and oxygen, the very ingredients needed to create rocket fuel. Imagine arriving on the moon, not just to explore, but to refuel. Instead of launching every mission from Earth, future spacecraft could one day launch from the moon itself. Its weaker gravity means escaping into deep space requires far less fuel. In other words, the moon could become humanity's first gas station in space. And if that happens, this truck won't simply transport astronauts. It will help build the infrastructure that makes it possible. When most people imagine space exploration, they picture rockets, astronauts, or giant space stations. But history tells a different story. Every great expansion in human history was built on transportation. Ships connected continents, railroads connected nations, roads connected cities. Before civilization grows, movement comes first. And that's exactly what this vehicle represents. Not another moon buggy, but the beginning of an entirely new transportation system on another world. One capable of carrying tools, scientific equipment, habitat supplies, solar panels, communication systems, and perhaps one day, entire generations of explorers. Because before humanity can build homes on the moon, someone has to carry the bricks. When the Apollo astronauts left the moon, they left behind footprints. Those footprints have remained untouched for more than 50 years. Not because time stopped, but because almost no one returned. Now, that silence is finally coming to an end. The next generation of lunar vehicles isn't just being built to help astronauts drive farther, it's being built to transform the moon, from a place we visit into a place where humanity can live. Years from now, when the first permanent lunar base finally stands beneath the stars, people may remember the rockets that got us there. But history often remembers something else, the machines that made staying possible. And perhaps the most important vehicle of the next space age won't be the one that flies. It'll be the one that drives. If you enjoyed exploring the future with us, subscribe to Future Synth and join us as we uncover the technologies, missions, and breakthroughs shaping humanity's next chapter. Because the future isn't waiting. It's already being built.